right. Hello and welcome to this episode of the BC coding stream. Last time we looked at the possibilities we have using the test framework to create somewhat of a better way of logging errors and catching errors and logging them afterwards. If you did not see that already, I'm going to link the video into the description, and so you can rewatch that before you continue to look at this one here, if you care. And I did promise to test this in production, and I did. And unfortunately, production does not enable to run the test framework at all. You can run it on premise in production, you can run it online on Sandbox, you can run it in Docker obviously, but not in production sandboxes. So I thought about any different way of solving this issue, and since the test runner already does a rollback of whatever we try to run in any case, I thought that we might be able to achieve the same thing with plain Codeunits and some fiddling around with errors and such. And I did, because it's probably a bit complicated. I needed to write something down, and this is the result. So the idea is to have, I think it's probably going to be two code units, an inner and an outer code unit. Maybe there will be a way to combine this, but I don't know yet. And the idea is to throw an error at the end. This can be configurable with parameters or something, but test code units always do this implicitly. An empty error that's not shown, that's just stopping the transaction, rolling back everything. And since this is run inside its own transaction, we will roll back everything that happened before. That way we can, if there is any changes that's happening to the database, we will roll that back, and then we will run the same thing, but not in its own transaction, and do not throw the error at the end. So the same or a pretty similar approach, but without the test toolkit to be able to run this in production. So that's the plan. Let's see if we can make it work. All right. Let's see if the container is already up and running. So that's looking good. Let's do a test publish. And I'm not sure if I probably need to save this. Can I save this? Inside here. Perfect. All right. So let's publish this. Just to be sure that everything's working as it should. Okay, so that's still working. Let's continue. All right, so we need to replace the whole runner thing, and let's just build new stuff next to it, so we won't remove that. I might be publishing this to GitHub afterwards, so then you have all the examples. And I feel like the screencast is is this how it should be? Screencast, is there a way to increase the time it's staying there? Offset, size, color, overlay time controls how long in milliseconds the keyboard overlay is shown in the screencast mode. 800 milliseconds. Let's increase that a little bit. Okay. See if that works better. All right. So this is the, let's call it the inner code unit first. Code unit. Probably going to rename this afterwards, but just so I don't get confused. Okay, so we probably need this variable skip rollback. And if not, skip rollback, then call an empty error. And let's actually copy a little bit from here. So we have the conditional runner from last time. We're going to reuse that. Where's my inner code unit? Conditional runner. And we will do it like this. Can I do like behavior? Oh no, not error behavior. Commit behavior. Okay, so I cannot do that in the interface. All right. But that's fine. Let's see. So this is doing the conditional run, the inner code unit, and since I do want to have like anything underneath, this should be rollback. I like to have my variables on top. So we will do a local procedure run code without commits. And this will do the conditional run procedure. And this will be executed here. And then this can get the commit behavior, not rollback, but ignore. So that way, even when the code that's run underneath this will contain any commits, we will ignore the commits. Like you can set the commit behavior to either ignore or error. Error is like it will throw an error, and that's not really what we want. We want to ignore this because we want to be sure to really be able to roll back everything that's happened inside this. So now, if this throws any errors, like if there is anything wrong in that code, this will return false. It will return false anyways at the end. So if it reaches this code, we can say conditional code was successful and set this to true. And this would also be like a global variable. And let's just be sure to set this to false before, because it's a global variable, so it will preserve state. And I'm not sure where that state is preserved afterwards, since like where the local variable would would be saved of that code unit, like the instance of that code unit. And then let's do procedure get was successful, and we need a set interface. Like this. And the skip rollback. Okay, so this would be the inner one. And I think I want to have a second code unit. So let's create another one. Code unit. Let's just call it auto code unit for now. And I don't think I need on run at all. The reason why I want to have two code units is because I want to have this. I think I want to have this whole code unit internal. So this is not meant to be called directly, since then you could, mess with the order of what's called and what's not called. So now procedure, like save, run. I think I want to have a separate function, like an individual function for this, because then I can just do parameters in here. So first I think would be like, what code do we want to run? We want to run the code from that interface. Then we want to know, like, do we want to give the possibility to initially skip everything? Like if you, no, skip not everything. Wait, this is the test runner. Skip the rollback. Like always skip the rollback, because then you can just run the stuff directly. That doesn't make sense. So there is no reason to skip this. Now, and now the code would be set interface if inner code unit run we need to call the if run to catch the errors. Now, either we get an error here or we get an error here. So if we don't say skip rollback, we will always get an error. So this will always return false. So we want to do or inner code unit was successful. Now the was successful will only return true if we reach that line. If there will be errors in here, we won't reach that line. Therefore, this variable will be false, because we will always reach the first line. That's the idea. So This way we will be able to get the actual result, although there is that empty error at the end. So if this was successful, then we want to do set skip rollback to true and run it again. That way, theoretically, there is... Do we want to run the code unit entirely? Do we need to run the code unit? Like, if there was no error, then we don't even need to care about the code unit at all. Because it doesn't do anything more than this. The rest around it is just handling that stupid transaction thing. So we can do like this. We can run it directly. Then we are sure that there is no sub transaction started at all. And that means we also don't need this. Like we can do it like this. So there will always be an error at the end. To roll back whatever happened in here, we just extract whether the code exited here or here. So that's the plan. Well, if that works, that was way easier than I expected. Let's see. So this would be tests. Okay. We need this because this is the interface implementation from before. We will be using the same thing. I just removed the validate to test this in production. Requested delivery date today. All right. So this will work, and this will be the outer code unit. And save run. And I have an idea what to add to this afterwards. And this would be the same story. Just like this. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's first check the sales quote again to make sure, because I also want to see how the transactions behave with this. So let's clear that field. Yeah, whatever. Go back to the error log. Let's just delete all of those. Okay, so this was with test, now without error. Doesn't do anything. With error. Interesting. Let's debug, find out. Oh, I have an idea and I don't like it. Can't do if Codeunit run in write transaction, right? So, yep, so that worked. We don't have error logging in place yet. That was the next thing I wanted to build. The error doesn't pop up anymore. Okay, so the advantage with automatic tests was that we can even do this in write transactions. That would be the ultimate advantage. But I mean that's just how it is. So let's continue. So this is fine. We might we could add a parameter to say we don't want to retry this. Like if I'm wondering if this would be a scenario where I would only want to simulate. And since it's like, because we cannot run this, we cannot run Codeunit run in write transactions. So when we do this, we might potentially end up in a write transaction and then blocking following runs, like safe runs of code. And that's a question of structuring the code, like the code, the actual code that would be calling this function, whether you want to do like everything after each other, or if you would want to do like first all the tries, that would potentially then end up logging. Well, if you log, logging would also start the write transaction. So you need to build up a log, but not writing it into the database. And then save it at the very bottom, like if I hope this isn't too abstract, but I'm just thinking through this. The goal is to build a way to log errors in an import scenario or whatever scenario reliably. And just as a reminder, the problem is, let's see, where was my... This as an example, here we do like they do error logging, so they actually check if the delivery date is correct, and then it goes ahead and updates the sales lines, the log table already, and then also possibly any kind of modifiers. They don't work if they are called within a try function. TryFunctions don't do that. That will be a runtime error. So whenever you do, like if you want to use TryFunctions to validate fields or to like essentially call any kind of code outside of your control, there might be changes introduced to that code, which will add database access, resulting in a runtime issue, in a runtime error, which your users will see. So this is a no-go. That means you cannot use TryFunctions at all for code that's not under your control. Second thing, now that we are talking about Codeunit run, you do the first thing, like the first one. first validation of a field or whatever, you check that. That will run the modifiers. And then you're in the right transaction. So the next one you can't even check anymore. So that really is an issue. Now to solve this, I think there is no way around in splitting this into a check only and then a run framework where we would first check all of the things and then run it, and then we can do commit and do the next batch, like something. So we need to think in batches of changes we need to do, like fields we need to validate for simplicity. It could be any kind of code, but let's just stick with the fields. We need to specify a list of code we want to check. We first need to run those like this, roll everything back, just to see if everything works. The whole batch will work. And if so, like if not, we need to queue up any errors that we find, queue them up in a temporary table or in a list. Like there could be more to log. So I think it has to be temporary table. So we need to save them in temporary table. So if we have any errors, then we will write them at the end into the database for the users to see. Or if we don't have any errors, then we can repeat whatever we did before under like in the save state and actually execute everything. Then we can commit and then we can do the next batch since we need to close the right transaction. Okay. Not as easy as I thought. All right, let's see. But the framework, we can do it. We can do the framework. And it will be it will get crazy. Promised. Let's see. Conditional runners. Let's build a list for conditional runner. This is subject to be renamed, so don't worry. For each. All right, so first, run all of those. And I'm thinking, where should the logging be happening? Yep, we can't do in here because there is that error we need to cancel. So the logging of the error message needs to happen in here, but we need to save the last error message from within because the empty arrow will override it. So let's do last error message and last error wall stack. And I always forget that I can group those. All right. No, wait. No, wait. This will only override it if this was true. So we actually need to do it outside because it will cancel. So this will always error and this won't. So this doesn't even matter. So if was successful, we need to invert. If not, need to afterwards check if I'm doing this correctly here with the condition. But I think it's like this doesn't matter. This is always false. So now if this is also false, we have the error and we can preserve it and log it. Then begin. Get last error message, get last error code stick, and then I would like to do an interface here for the ErrorLogger as well. But I don't think you can't do interfaces by reference. And I would need to do by reference. So the caller of this can afterwards extract the ErrorLogger, like the error log afterwards. No, not needed. All right, we will do an ErrorLogger. Let's see. Interface ErrorLogger, and this will do. What can we do? Append, and this will basically do exactly this. And then we will do a procedure save to database. I think this is what we need. ErrorLogger interface. ErrorLogger. Get last error text and get last error call stack. Because call stack is always a good idea. So this is what happens whenever there is an error in any of those. In those lines we want to run. Now we need to have a function procedure is empty. If ErrorLogger is empty, then if not is empty, then save the database and exit. So that's all we need to do. Whenever there are errors, we just need to save them and we need to exit. If there are no errors, which would be the implicit else case here, want to do the same again. Just run all of them. Just run all the conditional runners again without any logging enabled to save them and preserve them. And then, not sure about this yet, but I will just add it for now. We want to commit afterwards because that will be one batch of changes we want to run safely. This is not any Codeunit run anymore, so we can be in a write transaction. I think that is looking much better. Okay. So how would we now fill this? Okay, so we can't be in a write transaction to begin with. I will just do this twice for simplicity's sake. So we need to create create the list. And yes, we can just, like, when there is a list of interfaces, we can add code units to this. So this makes it a lot easier. Not sure if this is and this is always required. Like if it would be possible, if this wouldn't possible, I don't know. Okay, so this is the first parameter, the conditional runners. This is the code we want to execute. And then we need to have the ErrorLogger. So this is not created yet. So create a new code unit. My ErrorLogger interface. Oh, interface. What the hell? Interface. ErrorLogger. Oh. Copilot automatically created the functions for me. That's nice. I have a feeling this is like the compiler again, not keeping up with the changes. Okay, so we want to have our error log is temporary, like this. Oh, implements. All right. And like, I'm not sure if I can, like, if I put summaries here, cannot contain any database transactions, either use temp table or store in memory, like with variables. So this is important. Yeah, probably Let's see. What happens if I do implement? No, it doesn't copy over the comment, so yeah. It's a little unfortunate, but I mean, it will result into runtime errors anyway, so. Let's do init, error text, and I don't have anything for the call stack. Why not create this? Okay, now there is a call stack field. Copy string. If it's longer, then that's unfortunate, but we can't handle that. At least not in the scope of this video. Okay, so this is looking good, I think. Now the save to database function, which will just be the regular empty log, error log. And for each, error log, temp error log, and set. Then repeat. Come on. Until. Yep. Error log init. Error log. Temp error log, insert. It's like this, and then the isEmpty is just an exit. Temp error log is empty. Nothing fancy. So this implements the error log, and this is the one we want to use on the page. Save run. Let's see. Codeunit. ErrorLogger. Codeunit, my ErrorLogger, my error. Oh, actually called it that way. Interesting. Okay. That way the Codeunit knows what to do with the errors. And it could be like, I mean, you could do something like store them in a list, just the error messages, don't care about the call stacks, and then put them into web service or log them to telemetry or do whatever. I mean, even if you log them to telemetry, you can even log them right away. You don't need to, like, you can log them here, because logging to telemetry doesn't start write transactions. And then you could do like isEmpty always false, so it would always save to the database, or like initialize when that's probably stupid. Forget that. If append was called once, you can set a local variable to true, which then will be exited here. So to determine if there was any error, just return false, and it will not do the save to database. And if true, the save to database can just be empty. Because you don't need to save the error. So the interface is really a good solution here, I think. To give most flexibility. So this will then just do nothing. And if there were errors, it will just exit. So let's forget about this for a second here and see if this is working now. Not working at all? Why is that? The outer code unit has some issues. Outer code unit. Is that a compile on the server that's failing? Nah. Okay. Why? Okay, I need to read the error message once more. Wait a second. Yep, I decreased the runtime. (13.1) is the maximum we can go with that container. Interface cannot be used like 452 in the outer code unit. Is it telling me that I cannot do a list of interfaces? I was pretty confident that this was added. I think this was a post on Twitter. But it could be that this was added with 24. A container or 25. What is my container? Which version do we have here? What did I create? This is 24 already. List of interface not working, but why does it compile? Why does it compile if I can't publish it? That is stupid. Do I have the pre-release version of the AL language? I have. But again, if the runtime doesn't support it, it shouldn't compile. Is there another way to do this? To achieve the same thing? We need to do interfaces, like there is no way. List of interface. Let's see. Let's spin up another container. Action test 25. We want to do. Can we do 20 product W1? Yes. 25. Next major. Let's see. By the way, this is Alpaca. This extension is called Cosmo Alpaca, I think, or just Alpaca. I don't remember. Cosmo Alpaca. There we go. Pretty good service. So if you don't know what it is, check it out. You can use their framework to have them host Docker containers for you, and you can create them right out of VS Code. You can also have them create for like for DevOps projects or for GitHub projects, and they take like €1, $1, whatever per hour of runtime of the container. So yeah, can recommend it. It works pretty good. So I didn't have any issues so far with using that, and it comes in handy. So I don't need to host them locally and have tax my machine more during streaming. So while streaming, I'm using those. But like syntax-wise, this has to be okay. Like, I mean, I can do Codeunit. I can do, like, if I want to do like record. Okay, there's syntax error, so let's do this. Okay, record cannot be used as type of an argument. This is what I would expect as an error if something's not working. So interface conditional runner works, compiles, doesn't publish. The type interface cannot be used as type argument in this context. I feel like this has to do something with the runtime. So let's wait for the container to spin up, and then let's try this against 25. Maybe this is something that will be possible in fall. Okay, so let's do download symbols. 24.1. So this is all looking good. It doesn't want to publish. That would be annoying. See how far the container is. Still pending. Do you have any other idea on how to do this? How to pass in like a list of... You could do... Oh, there is a comment. Check the parameters in the ErrorLog page. In the page, it's exactly the same. I copied over the variable, and it doesn't even complain here. So if I comment this, it doesn't work either. So it complains about the page as well. So never mind. 96, it complains about this and about the parameter list in the function, in the Codeunit. So those two places, it complains about interface being part, like definition of the list. The only other way I could think of would be to do enums. Then you would need to do like 25 enum extensions to... That wouldn't make any sense. Then we could iterate over the enum or pass in a list of integers or ordinals or whatever of that. Oh, that is like... Can we do this? Like, does it also complain? Like this will not compile. But if I do dictionary, And then it immediately complains. Okay, so dictionaries is definitely not working either. It does compile. It's already starting, so the preparation has completed and it should be there any minute. Or discovery pattern like. No, even that doesn't work. Like I thought about like doing an event publisher, so you can do an event subscriber for each runner, but they would all fire after each other, and then my code continues. So after the publisher, so no way to access those either. Not that way. I mean, essentially it's not really needed, but it would be nice to have the module handle the calling, logging, and then recalling it again. So you don't need to handle the structure yourself. Still starting. I mean, it could be one runner and then having multiple function calls, and you need to do them, like call them separately, then do log my errors, and then like this structure, you can build this yourself, and then you would have like one runner at a time. But it compiles. I want to do list of interfaces. Oh, come on. I can already add this to the launch JSON. So that will automatically append the configuration for snapshot and for launch to your launch JSON. It's also pretty handy, especially since they have a little bit of a unique way of specifying this. Still starting. Copy password. No, definitely not up yet. But usually you would probably kick off the creation and then grab a coffee. And once you're back, this should be there. But I hope this would go a little faster. And I'm continuing thinking if there is any other way of handling, collecting the list of interfaces. Even with tables, like there is no way. It'd be interesting if list of Codeunit compiles. Just for fun. Oh, there's the container. All right, let's see. Come on. Yes. So it was 25. I mean, that's not what I hoped for, but it's better than nothing. Let's test with 25. Yep. Oh. Why does it always have to be so slow? Can't they do like on install already, loading the cache and everything? It would be easier. ErrorLogger. Or not easier, it would be faster. Alright, let's see. Already exists. Yep, that's right. Not sure where that happened actually, but let's... I mean, I created functions for this. So... error call stack in, let's do it. Let's do it the right way. And that's tricky part with auto increment, and let's entry number. So whenever you use auto increment on a field, when that is initialized already, it doesn't auto increment anymore. The insert trigger shouldn't be necessary, but if you have like multiple records and init doesn't clear the primary keys, so if you have your record, you insert in a loop, for example, you always need to set the entry number to 0 again, so the insert trigger can increment the auto, like run the auto increment correctly. That's yeah, need to know that. Alright, so let's go back to the ErrorLogger. Where is the ErrorLogger? This is the interface. There we go. So, yeah, the function doesn't really care about temporary or not. So let's just do log error like this. And then this should actually override the primary key correctly. So let's give it another shot. Breaking my own code here. So this works. Whatever, get last code stack. Right. Nope. Wrong one. Wrong one. Right. So BC24, BC25. Interfaces in a list. ErrorLogger. Okay, time to run the debugger, and also time to set the startup object page ID for the 25 launch configuration, because that's getting annoying. Let's see what's going on. We got so far, we won't fail now. Good. All right, one second. What's going on here? So I'm running the run with error. Where's my page? There we go. Run with error. Do I have the same? This is the log simple error. This is doing this. Run with error. Is my... Oh, okay, so this is... Wait a second. Let's run this step by step. Oh no, I have the debugger started already. So run again. All right, so we set the what to execute. This will decide in the conditional run that we will run with error. So that's happening twice. This is fine. We have the that's cool. We can even look at the globals inside of the implementations of that interface inside the list. So, and it says that it's code units. That's way cool. All right. Now it will do the run trigger. It will save the conditional state. Then it will go into here. It will do the validates and stuff, like the base code. And now it will do the error. It will exit, and it will do the append. All right. And let's check in the debugger globals rec. I would have expected to see whether this is temporary or not. But I mean, it should be. This is temporary. So we are running on a temporary record. Oh, there we go. Temporary record doesn't do auto increment because auto increment is a database feature we are running without database. Thanks. Why is it that you can only see those kind of issues from the debugger view? I don't understand. But okay. Then we'll actually run this manually again in the ErrorLogger because of reasons. Okay. No. I have a feeling that my screencast disable itself. Yep. Didn't notice that before. Probably the reload window will reset that setting. Okay, and last error log entry number. Integer. We can start with 0, that shouldn't be an issue. Or we can start with 1 to get rid of that warning. Just like that. Okay, next try. Already exists. Why? Oh, that's why. Now, when I copy the stuff over, it will also copy the primary key, but I need to append them at the end. So here we have the auto increment again. So I need to set the entry number to 0 afterwards. So I need to copy everything, all the fields basically. Could do transfer fields here, but and then set the entry number to 0. That will probably be the issue. Otherwise, I will need to run the debugger again. All right. There we go. So we have 2 errors. They get saved to the database. And we don't have any runtime errors anymore. Now, let's check if those changes were saved, because that's my my main concern with all of those code unit run things, that I don't want to have those damn changes changed into the database. So they did not get get saved. Now what if, let's copy that over into the without error part and run it without errors. Like this, and this would be without error. Now let's say the user fixed everything that was locked, then can rerun the stuff. Actions run without error. So we don't get any errors, we don't get any confirm messages either because not implemented. But that's fine. And we can see that it was changed, it was saved. So I think this is good for a proof of concept. We can initialize the state of the code that we like the code lines we want to execute. We could imagine, like, this doesn't have to be the same code unit. We could do totally different code units as long as this interface is implemented. So those code units that we use to run the code need to have one global like entry function where okay, just was thinking about something. 1 second. One function which will be executed, and I just thought, why do we need to do interface? Why can't we do on run? But I think we had this before in the previous video. The way with interfaces enables us to actually save the instance, like pass in the whole instance. Wait a second. Where is my page again? So this would not be possible with Codeunit on run, I think, because we cannot pass in the... Can we? I think we can't. We cannot pass in the Codeunit. We would have to... But it's more flexible with interfaces, and interfaces are cool, so let's stick with interfaces. Now, what if the ErrorLogger needs to have some additional information about what's going on? It does append the errors. So if this is, if we assume that this will be run scope by scope, if the scope changes, I would need to do the commit afterwards. I would need to save everything and then start the next scope. So when thinking in scopes like this, I would be able to initialize the ErrorLogger with the scope as well, or create one logger per scope. So that way I can pass everything that it needs to know in before I run the actual code. Then it can log it where it has to be logged, and pass in all the information that it has to have, like for the actual log entries. And then we can initialize a new state for the logger and run the different states. So because sometimes like error logs are probably more have more details than this. There has to be like a scope where this is coming from, and all those sorts of things. But I don't think there is a good way to have it that flexible, like with interfaces and everything, and with more information into the logger. I'm thinking about another parameter that's being passed down to the logger, but that doesn't make any sense. And we don't get any more from the condition runner either. So I think this is how it has to be. Probably could do a skip commit or something. That would be reasonable. How long are we in? Okay. Maybe question to the chat is: does anyone want to see, like, are there any questions I could still cover, or something I would need to explain or could explain? Anything you would like to know about this before we wrap up for today? And I would still have some time to do that. The skip commit. Okay, did not see any chat messages coming in, so I think that will be it for today. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching. I think I will put this as it is right now onto GitHub. I will link this in the comments in the description below afterwards, and so you can have it, you can copy it. But I'm also thinking, if this would be something that would be useful for the system app, like the test stuff, probably not, because it's just not running in production. But this, like the inner outer code unit, I will need to rename those. But maybe this is something we could contribute to the system app, because let me know what you think. Also afterwards in the comments, let me know what you think. Is this something that the system app could benefit from? And do you think that Microsoft would accept a solution like this into the system app? Because, I mean, why not? Why not have it available for everyone, starting with BC version 24 in fall? Because, yeah, apparently a list of interfaces compiles with lower runtimes, but does not publish. So yeah, let me know, and make sure to subscribe if you want to get notified when I continue with this and start my next stream. Have a good day and see you next time.